For early access, become a member at patreon.com/Road to Tarvalon.
Hello, Amber here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm focusing on Nynaeve, Elain, and Egwene, and the question of whether any of them will return to the White Tower in Season 3. This episode contains insights from The Shadow Rising. If you enjoy speculative videos like this one, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it. First off, we need to set the scene. In The Shadow Rising, most characters start off in Tear, following the events of Rand and his party and the Aiel capturing the Stone of Tear, a legendary fortress and the world's oldest structure. Rand is joined by the Emond's Field characters, Moiraine, Lan, Tom, and Aiel characters like Aviendha. And there's significant character development during this time. But as the story progresses, our characters disperse in different directions. Elain and Nynaeve go to Tanchico and Terrebonne. Egwene goes to the Aiel Waste with Rand, Moiraine, Lan, and Mat. And Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers with Loial and a few Aiel. And when we start to make predictions for Season 3, a major question is whether or not Egwene, Nynaeve, or Elain will return to the White Tower. Several reasons suggest they might, like the need for Egwene and Elain to take their accepted test. Also, the idea that Siuan Sanche is the person in the books who tasks Nynaeve and Elain to hunt the Black Aja. However, if they do return, they would eventually need to sneak back out to reach their Shadow Rising locations. This could happen during a major distraction, like an attack by the Black Aja or during Siuan Sanche's deposition. But I lean towards the idea that they won't return, and here's why. The first reason is narrative considerations, focusing on repetition. We've already seen one escape from the White Tower. Repeating this would lack novelty and take up a lot of time. The next reason is logistics. If they leave Tarvalon at the start of the season, it complicates how they reach their destinations without Moiraine. A different guide like Varen could be an option, but if we follow the books, she should eventually head to the Two Rivers. So let's focus on Egwene's journey. If Egwene starts in the tower and leaves later, she would be forced to track Moiraine, Rand, and Lan to the Waste, and this poses a challenge. It's a long journey for her to take alone, and keeping characters together allows more interaction. It's much more interesting watching her interact with others rather than watching a solo traveling montage. Because of this, I think Egwene's accepted test will be postponed, making it more logical for her to travel with the group. There's a possibility they could all still travel together, but again, she would need to be able to find them first, which could lead to some too convenient plot points, and I'd think it would be wise to avoid those. The next thing to consider is Nynaeve and Elain's mission. Sending Nynaeve and Elain back to the tower poses the same challenges I attribute to Egwene. And they could go alone, but going without Egwene seems very odd. Their main storyline should focus on tracking the Black Aja. In the book, Siuan Sanche tasks them, but in the show, they could take on the mission themselves with Moraine's agreement. And there are multiple motivations for them to do it themselves rather than needing a formal request from the Amyrlin. The first is what they witnessed in Season 2, where Rima, a Yellow Aja sister, was collared by the Seanchan. They've seen the fallout that happened with Liandrin working with the Seanchan, and this is more than enough for them to want payback against Liandrin. I think the time we spent focusing on Rima and her warder wasn't just to spend more time showing the intricacies of the warder bond, but a motivation for justice and maybe a little brutal payback. Liandrin didn't collar Rima herself, but now they know the Black Aja has no qualms with handing over the girls to the Seanchan to be enslaved, and they are capable of horrific acts. Now, the next possible motivation could come from Egwene. Perhaps she learns in Tel'aran'rhiod about the Forsaken hunting an item to control Rand and Tanchico. With her going to the Waste, she could pass this information to Nynaeve and Egwene, and they take up the hunt themselves. The last possibility is we have a heist at the White Tower, with the Black Aja looting ter'angreal and killing Aes Sedai. We could learn about it happening via Moiraine's eyes and ears. In this scenario, it might work if someone like Varen flees and informs Moiraine and her party what happened, then escort Perrin back to the Two Rivers. She could also pass along an important angreal used for dreamwalking before she goes. And I think it's pretty easy to think that sending the girls back to the White Tower starts to really complicate things. Another example of a further complication is that if Elaine returns, Morghese wouldn't think she's missing, and Elaida wouldn't have a reason to return to Tar Valon and start a coup. So it's my prediction that most of the main characters will start this season together, shortly after the events in Falme, in a secret location. And the location itself doesn't really matter. I'm going to rule out Cairhien for the fact that it's not a secret Moiraine has family there, and anyone looking for her, like the Black Aja or someone like Lanfear, knows about it. It wouldn't be a safe place to regroup. It's possible we even start season 3 at an inn owned and operated by someone she trusts, where her spies can send information so she can come up with an idea on what to do next. Then, in a turn of events, the path forward will be chosen for them when something happens to set everyone into motion, whether it be an attack on Tar Valon, Egwene's summon by the Wise Ones, or a number of other motivations. Perhaps Varen is already in the Two Rivers and sends Moiraine word that it's under assault by White Cloaks. All of these options avoid the complications of sending the girls back to the White Tower, and the bonus of having everyone start out together also allows the audience to see new relationships have developed with characters like Rand and Elaine, Rand and Aviendha, or Aviendha and Elaine. They will eventually go their separate ways as they do in The Shadow Rising, without returning to Tar Valon, which simplifies the story. The last thing I want to touch on is how the finale of Season 2 establishes the idea that the group is stronger when they work together as a team. Following the events that have happened, I can't see Nynaeve or Egwene wanting to part ways with Rand, Mat, and Perrin unless it's a path forward, where they are all in agreement that each of them can help one another from different locations on the map. Going back to Tar Valon is clunky when we only have 8 episodes. As for the accepted test, perhaps it comes later, or perhaps it doesn't need to even happen at all. So those are my thoughts. Maybe I'm totally wrong and the girls will return to the tower once again, but when focusing on time, I think there are much more important moments to put into place for the big plot beats of The Shadow Rising to feel earned and have really strong emotional impact. And the accepted test isn't one of them. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back next time.